and welcome once again to Rasp of Sand, the little campaign that keeps on going. Despite, one or two lethal setbacks that have occurred along the way. My name is Jeremy. I am your game master for the evening, and I am running a game called Rasp of Sand. If you've been around for the last couple episodes, you are no doubt familiar with it. But I just want to give, if you're new to this, first of all, there are two other episodes, so you should go back in the YouTube history and look for those as well, so you'll have a better idea of what's going on. But we are playing Rasp of Sand, a sweet independent zine adventure. It was by Dave Cox, Dastardly Dave on Twitter, who put together this. The first time I ran this, I didn't have the actual book, and I didn't. It's actually like a pretty nice piece of kit once I finally got it in the mail, and lavishly illustrated and wonderful. I'll be showing off illustrations using my high-tech put the book up to the camera system every once in a while as they become appropriate. Yeah, it's super sweet. So we've been having fun with it. Again, it is designed to be a roguelike. So what you're going to see is the potential for people to die horrible deaths. Now, the basic rules of this is that if one of the characters dies, it triggers an event in the dungeon that they are in. A sacrifice has been made or will have been made, and their village will be off the hook for a generation of sacrifices. So they will return to their village, live out their lives happily, and 20 years later, another group of characters will come along. We have had had that happen 3 times so far. So our characters are on their fourth. Our players and their families are in their 4th generations. And let's quickly go around and introduce the characters, the party as it exists in its current makeup. Starting down here with Andy. Andy, how you
Hello.
doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm all right. It's a Monday. Looking
Yeah.
forward to some rolling of dice and some fishy fun this evening.
Me too. And currently I am Flan, daughter of Flank / Foot, level 4 warrior, which means I have some really cool perks. And I have a passion for art, and I have this sort of art student vibe, and I have a like a sash made out of wooden daughter teeth that I made, and I have a very high dex, and I'm looking forward to exploring this second layer of this creepy temple we're in.
And next to Andy, we have Ian right below me. Ian, who are you bringing to tonight's game?
Good evening. Tonight we'll be playing Crank 4, the 4th generation in the Crankor family of this particular incarnation. Again, just a fairly averagely physiqued, curly-haired, simple-clothed, and quaint speech patterns! Looking forward as well to getting into the deep.
And I gotta apologize. I thought that you were joking when you said Crankor. I didn't actually look at your name label last game, so I kept on calling you Crankor. And then afterwards, I realized what was going on, and I felt really bad about it. So, you have my apologies. And finally, right. Yeah. On this side, we have Matt. And Matt, who are you bringing along?
Clarabelle Thinkwell, not as much of an academic as her mother, more of a sporty type, but wearing the mantle, knowing about slugs and scrolls and smart person things.
Now, and we figured out that Clarabelle was probably on the athletic scholarship. Flan's on an art scholarship. And Crank 4, I don't remember whether you were involved in that particular academic society. I guess that within the last 40 years, though, it's possible that in your village, there's been more academia. Has a school started there that's become sort of a big thing?
I think what we decided was that I went to a community college at that point.
Right. Okay. And is that on your island, or are there maybe is there maybe another island that I guess it really is just your island? Anyway, is there another island that you're going to community college on?
Really, what I'm doing is I'm just sticking my head underwater and participating in some small school activities.
I see. Oh, Scott, I get it. I got it. Okay. So, I wanted to quickly go over some. Well, let's see. You over the last couple of sessions have explored a lot of the first level of this dungeon, and after quite some time and a few different attempts, in the last session you found a secret door that led to a chimney that led straight down, which presumably will take you to the next level, whatever.
Yeah.
He's been taken by the void.
Oh no, we lost him.
Yeah.
Am I back?
Yeah.
You're back.
Okay. I might need to do a quick a quick technology solve here. I think I figured out what has caused that, but I'm gonna have to go offline again briefly to fix it. And as it turns out, as we were discussing earlier, it may in fact be my browser. I am using Safari, and Safari likes to throttle things that are using a lot of energy. And the system that we are using to broadcast my video is, in fact, using a lot of energy. So give me 2 seconds, and I will hop my video feed over to Chrome. And that should allow me to do that. With many apologies for breaking the fourth.
Neat. Well, let's do a little moment before them, as we call in acting times. Before we entered this chimney, we were in this big old vertical ship that we thought maybe had a really cool treasure chest in it and didn't, and that was very disappointing. But it did have a trap door at the bottom of it, not further into the ship, but like further down. And I think that's where we're trying to go ultimately. Maybe there's some the Queen's throne room deeper down. So hopefully we get to do that.
We also found a corpse.
Yes, we did. We found a corpse of a sailor, and there was a big, I think, eel outside eating more of those monkey slug things. Which maybe my hope is that it is indeed the white whale that killed Crankor the First, and that hopefully we get to kill it back as revenge. That'd be fun. Yeah.
Your audio was? Now you're blinking. Ooh, wow. I'm doing something interesting.
Ooh. He's
You
gone
cursed
all-
Ian.
This is the whole LSD panel right here. It's gotten
He's
real
drowning.
weird.
Hold on. I'm going to keyframe here in a second. I'm going to keyframe.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
No.
There we go.
The
For
curse
serious
has
though, is
been
my
lifted.
audio? Are you getting my audio?
Yeah.
Good. Excellent. Apologies for that. I would have thought that Chrome would be, or that Safari would be a good thing to do, but that's okay. We are back and we are in Chrome and everything is good. Carry on, please. Yes. So you found that body. You found some slugs on the body, which was pretty exciting.
Free slugs.
And
I might
now
eat them later.
am I back? Okay. So yeah, let's continue on. So you head down this chimney, and this is it is a fairly claustrophobic shaft, so you're only able to go down one at a time, and yeah, it's maybe a pretty tight squeeze for some of you. Who's going first?
Oh, well, I have the highest dex. Maybe I should be the one to send an expeditionary descent into it.
and you're going.
You're also the least fragile of us, Flan.
Yeah.
That's true. I do. I'm one of those. I'm like a cat. You throw me out of a window and I land on my feet.
You always land.
So yeah, you're able to climb down. You end up going quite a long way, like down. The ladder is in like surprisingly good shape. It's not so much like a ladder as if you were to sort of like take little sort of ledges and turn them into like little bowl indentations, and then stretch them out all the way across across a wall, and then just do that over and over and over again all the way down. So a bunch of that, just slowly, and so yeah, you go down. probably takes about 10 minutes of climbing before you start seeing some glimmers of light again below you. So the entire first floor was more or less lit as with daylight. Light shone down through the water above it, and then was able to be seen through the ceiling and around the floors and walls and such. The world below you see that there is sort of an equal amount of light, actually, surprisingly, coming from the second floor as well. And I guess you would probably see some interesting things given that the walls are semi-transparent. So the same sort of like little rivulets of water and little channels of it are continuing to continuing beside you on the walls and behind you and in front of you. I guess there's probably some of these little bowls that you're climbing down that end up getting a little bit full of water, so you get it on your hands. But there's just there's a constant area around you, or feeling that you're kind of just walking through almost a tube, or climbing through a tube that is going down almost through open water as the world around you ripples and shimmers.
It's really cool down here, guys. It's really great.
Seems improbable.
When you come to the bottom of this shaft, you look down, and below you is just like an incredible display of colorful coral, just all overlapping each other. This coral of every different possible color that is. It almost looks like it's covering the entrance, but as you climb down closer to it, you can see that it's not. You could probably, it's pretty thick, so you might have to sort of climb down the coral to get out of the area that you're present, like out of the tube. Yeah, and you can't really see if it's a room. You can't really see the floor or the ground or whatever it is. It's sort of like the canopy of a coral forest.
Wow, very cool.
Down in the reefs now.
Yeah. All right. Well, I suppose. I mean, it's either go back up or keep going down. So I guess keep very carefully looking below me, climbing down until there's no shaft left, and I guess down the coral.
Okay, so you start climbing down the coral. Now, like, some of the coral is funny, right? Because some of it it's hilarious. It's like a big joke. Some of it is stiff and easy to climb down. Some of it is quite yielding. And so, can I get you to make a dexterity save for me as you climb down the coral to see
my
if
pleasure.
Okay,
I got a 4. But I have a +5 to a
That's
9.
a very good bonus that you have on that check. Unfortunately, yeah, you're still gonna fall down, unfortunately. And the thing about coral is some of it's like kind of spiky as well. So you above are hearing Flan like sort of. Maybe you're reporting what you're doing. Are you calling back up or?
Oh, absolutely, I'm doing the whole thing. There's like rivers of light. Is so really groovy. Oh, there's a coral forest, just like in my picture books from art school or my studies. And then I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna get on this bit. Should be fine. Whoops.
Yeah, and then there's the sound of crunching and crackling, and you're gonna fall down, and you're gonna take 4 points of damage from falling through, and just you realize once you hit the ground that you've actually got some coral like kind of sticking out of your arm in a pretty gnarly looking way, and some coral's poisonous. It's probably fine though, and yeah, that looks pretty. It feels pretty bad. Does not feel all that great.
Okay, then
and
I make that sound that some people make when they get hurt, which is it just keeps going on forever as I'm lying at the bottom and showing the injury up.
I bet
Your
that
toddler
echoes
waiting for help.
Right through the tunnel.
Okay. So yeah, you two are climbing faster, presumably. Unfortunately, while you're down there, you start, Flan, hearing hearing a sound, and it sounds like water that's rushing quite quickly. You've heard a sound like this. Actually, no, you haven't yourself, but you have a recollection of someone that in your family whose sand you may have imbibed, hearing a sound like this sometime in the past. So yeah, you're on the ground recovering, and it doesn't sound like there's a lot of rushing water in the vicinity. The two of you who are still up in the shaft, you also hear some of this too. Sounds like there's a wave coming or something down there.
Back up, back up, back up.
Seems like a good idea.
Okay, so those two are climbing back up. Crank 4 and Clarabelle are climbing back up. Flan, what do you want to do? You're on the ground. You're surrounded by coral. You're not sure if you can actually even climb up. You probably can. You probably can climb it up. But what do you want to do?
I would like to get the hell out of here, Jer.
Are you going to go up? Or are you going to go? You're going to go.
No,
there's lots
it
of directions.
follows you room to room. It bounced us around like a pinball last time. I'm going up.
Okay.
Up. Now, do I think that I do have a grappling hook and rope? Now, do I feel? How does Fawn feel? Does she feel that she would have more advantage using the rope and grappling hook, or climbing up, chancing the coral again?
Well,
which looks more stable?
I would say that this is a chance for you to use your deductive reasoning to figure out what would probably be better: trying to climb up the coral and getting washed by a wave, or maybe doing something with the grappling hook.
Well, this is just a way.
I will say that. To give you a little bit more information, that it's going to take you a while to climb up this. The ceiling that where you just fell down was probably 10-15 feet, probably more like 15 feet. It would take you a little bit of time to climb up to climb up this coral there, especially since it's not like you're climbing a ladder. You're kind of going between sections of coral. Some of it's more stable than others. To do it safely would probably take a bit.
Okay, well then I'm gonna try to use my environment. I only have 2 health though, and this is, gosh, if this were a person attacking me, I would have all sorts of advantages. But as it's the world, it's man versus nature. This is not good. So I'm going to with my coral in my arm go, oh, and then hear the water and go, oh, and then find judging where the water is coming from, get behind like the sturdiest piece of coral I can find that looks maybe soft. Maybe there's some soft, lovely coral that's very sort of spongy. And I'm gonna get in there and then tie the rope and lash myself to it or near it so that I will not be bounced around the room. Yes, okay. That is what I want to do.
Okay, so what happens to you following this is not pleasant, because because the water level just feels like it rises up all of a sudden, and it stays risen up for like an uncomfortable amount of time as water rushes by you and whatnot. But I think that this works, right? Like I think this is a good solution. Like you've got yourself tied up, and this is in general in this kind of game. One of the things that I think is very encouraged. If you do something that should just work, that it just works.
Oh, good.
So yeah, I think that's good. Your spongy, yielding, maybe only a little bit suction cuppy coral shields you from any real damage, pillows you slightly and softly, and yeah, the water eventually rushes over you right before your breath starts to run out, and then the level of the water returns to normal.
Oh, thank God. And I yell up, okay! I mean, there's the whole coral in the arm thing, but otherwise I'm fine. The wave's gone.
Okay, we'll start our way back down.
Sure.
We guess.
Maybe, do you guys think you could climb a rope? Would it be safer if I throw my grappling hook up there?
When I get to the end, I'm going to be asking for it anyway.
Okay, cool. And I untie myself from the rope and get it all limber and straight and whatever. Like, Yeah. And I guess throw it up there.
Sure, it probably takes you like a few tries, but there's like a lot of things to attach a grappling hook to up there, right? Like there's tons and tons of coral. So yeah, you have no problem eventually finding a way to stick it so that the others can find their way down.
Excellent.
And that brings all three of you into the room and gives me a good opportunity to go over a couple of rules that we haven't really touched on thus far. I think I did mention them maybe in the first session, but that was like 6 months ago or something. So
It's a
we
while
should
back.
go over them again now. So this one of the main currencies that you have in this game is time. And you can spend time in the rooms that you are in doing a few different things. I mean, by default, there are a bunch of different things that you can do, but you can do anything really that you decide that you want to. But in terms of like what you can spend a turn on in the dungeon, you can take a rest. If you take a rest, you can eat one of your rations, and you get health back for doing that. So that is one thing that you can do. Another thing that you can do is you can look around and forage for more rations. So if you find that you want some more, if you need more supplies, if you're down fairly deep in the dungeon and you've somehow rested numerous times and had a chance to consume all of your rations, you can try and find some more of them. You can also explore, take a very good deep explore of the room, and try and find any secrets that might be in it. And again, that takes time, but I will tell you that if you do take a long period of time to actually search a room, you automatically succeed. So you will find whatever secrets the room holds. You will do that. Now, as I say, this is your currency because the expense of using time is that there is a chance that you will run into something. Something else will enter the room. And potentially that could be dangerous. Depending on which room you're in, some rooms are more dangerous than others. Ian.
Point of clarification, do we all have to
Yes.
be doing the same thing?
No. So each of you also has abilities that you can use while you're resting. So if one person needs to rest and gain some health, another person can do something else during that rest.
Cool.
Perfect.
I would like to do that. I would like to rest and eat some food and take this coral out of my arm, please.
All right. That sounds like a great thing to do while resting. So the texture of this room is, again, it's like we live in a coastal rainforest region. So and in those coastal rainforests, there's a lot of roads and paths and things that form nice ways to go through these densely forested areas, check out the nature, see animals and things from a safe distance. This is not that. This is like if you walked off that path and went 50, 100 feet into the woods and then couldn't see the path anymore when you turned around, so you went in a different direction, and now, oh my God, where there's still the animals and stuff around. Maybe you hear water somewhere. Certainly in the dungeon, you're hearing water everywhere. But yeah, this is densely packed coral forest. So
less an octopus's garden and more of an octopus's neglected backyard.
yeah, you can't see very far, even though there is decently okay light shining down through the coral. And it is a little bit claustrophobic. If you wanted to move through here, you would be having to sort of bushwhack a little bit, and who knows which direction you'd end up in.
Good to know.
All right.
Whew.
So, Flan, you are resting and healing.
Yes.
Crank 4, what are you doing?
Well, I'm just curious about a couple things here. In character, how hit pointy are each of you?
Oh man, I was at 6, but this and I should show the coral again. This took me down 4, so I'm sitting at 2 hit points right now, my friend. But I'm gonna eat some food, but I also don't know how many hit points that gives me.
Actually, enough beating around the bush. Flan, how would you like an enchanted item of some sort? Be it
Yes,
your...
please.
would you prefer your weapon or your armor?
Ooh, good question.
You'll get...
What will I get for the for?
So enchantment gets you +1, or sorry, gets you advantage on the attack rolls and +1 bonus to armor defense.
Okay, well, I'm pretty armored up. My armor defense is 15.
The attack sounds way better.
Yeah, I just have a dagger right now, which is. I hope maybe I can. Hopefully, I can find a weapon down here someplace.
I can enchant anything during a single rest. So if that's good, then yes.
Okay.
I mean, if you
As our
if you want my
designated-
mace, I can swap it with you.
Oh, hey, we can just do that. We can just give each other things.
I
Sure, what do
assume
you
during
have?
a rest we can just hand stuff, or
Anytime that you're not in combat, basically, that's fine.
Yeah.
In combat, it would like take an action, right? But
yeah.
Sure. Yeah, sure. Hey, I will take whatever magicked up death implement you want to give me. And what did you say you have, Clarabelle? What you got?
I have a mace which does 1d8 bludgeoning damage. Takes
love a
2
mace.
slots, 1 hand, and has quality 3.
Let's magic up that mace.
Sounds good. That's what I'll spend my short rest doing.
you
I'll
do that
take
in
your
one
dagger.
short rest.
Thank you. I give it to you appreciatively. I say, this is a dagger that I made in art school. It's got some those cool sort of like blood troughs in it, which I'm not really sure actually works, but it looks really gnarly. Please take good care of it.
And you're just handing it to me like blade first.
Blade first. Blade first. In order to wield it, it must cut you, and I just nick you on your arm a little bit. There you go. I'll give it back to you.
Thank you. I'll look up what it does later.
Thank you.
Its
Thank
name
you.
is
Looks up-
Chris. Is the
looks
dagger's
up
name
shark.
Chris?
Based monster.
Dagger's name is Chris.
Oh my
good.
god.
Good. There's always got to be one.
So, Crank 4, you are enchanting that.
That
And
seems good.
as an academic, I have a couple options. I could investigate one of the 2 slugs that I have to learn its effects. Or I could study the crab language in order to understand what they're saying.
Ooh. The crab seems smarter than the fish, in my humble opinion, but don't let the fish hear that.
I already know how they talk anyway.
Good point.
Yeah.
Crab it is.
All right. I'll spend my rest on learning how to understand crab speech.
Okay, so you're going to realize that you need, if you actually want to, do you understand them, or do you actually get to learn to speak it?
One rest, this is my first rest, is learning when they talk what they're saying. The second
Okay.
rest is learning how to speak it.
Okay, cool. Great. So yeah, you're realizing that it is like a very physical language. It requires a lot of like moving sideways and clicking of pincers and things like that to actually get the message across. So yeah, you're resting, you're enchanting. This is all going to work, I think. But while Flan, you're dipping into those rations. What kind of rations did you bring?
I have basic. I love the way you say ration. Have I been mispronouncing it all the time?
The problem is that I got the wrong one in my brain at some point, and then I got corrected. And now I can't remember which one is the correct one. So I always just sort of go with it until someone calls me on it.
Rations
And then
is more fun. I like rations.
Rations. Okay.
I have, gosh, this is going to be, what have we done? We've done egg and watercress. We've done, what was the stuff that you had, Ian?
I don't know. I don't think. Oh, hardtack. Yes.
Hardtack. Okay. Then I have brought the whatever the fishing village equivalent of Dunkaroos is. So maybe like some fish paste with like some hardened, like maybe some dried fish meat that I'm just kind of dipping in and noshing on. It's very
this like
comforting.
It's
is this like
packaged inside a clamshell.
a parent
Absolutely, it
made this
is.
for you, or
Yeah.
or is there like a specific person in the village who like cuts the crackers in the shape of little sea creatures?
Absolutely, that's Dunky. That's
Donkey.
Dunky the Dunkaroo Smith. Yeah.
Oh my god.
He's very respected, very high position in the society. This is good stuff. I brought the best.
With that scrimshaw skill, they could have been a magician, but they instead decided to put it towards bakery. Salutes to Dunky.
Absolutely.
Blessings of Donkey. All right. So you're mowing down on that. You're feeling a lot better. You convince someone else to like put their foot up on your arm, and like while you look away, and whatnot, they yank out the coral, and that's pretty okay. That's not too bad. At least it's pretty okay now. It was pretty bad at the time, but maybe the coral had some like poisonous paralytic in it that's making it feel a little bit better.
Good.
As you're catching your breath a little bit and pondering languages and trying to get the spell just right on that mace, you start hearing something moving through the coral. Now you're seeing stuff move through the coral anyway. You're seeing like little schools of fish and probably other sea life of various sorts. Maybe a little crayfish or crawdad or whatever is crawls up and crawls by you and looks pretty cute. When I talk about foraging for now I'm afraid foraging for rations, then rations. Foraging for rations. I said the wrong thing the first time.
Language is an evolving thing, Jared. It's all good. It's beautiful.
Just think rationally.
Yeah.
Oh. Hey, that's perfect. That is perfect. I will never forget it again. So yeah, when I talk about foraging for rations, that's basically what that is. Just grabbing the crayfish off the ground. Yeah, so you're doing pretty well, and then you start hearing something else in the coral. Maybe it's the sound of some of it snapping and moving aside quickly. Then it almost sounds like the sound of scraping metal. You're hearing like a, and then as it gets closer to your current location, let me jump in if you want to do anything, by the way. As it gets closer to your current location, you start hearing a very bizarre sound, something that you probably wouldn't necessarily even be familiar with, but sounds that are kind of like
We should probably move away from the breaking sounds.
Agreed. Let's flee.
In perhaps a direction that's perpendicular to where the sound sounds like it's coming from.
Okay. So it's kind of moving through. I don't want to characterize where you're at as having trails in it or whatnot, but I guess it kind of does. So there's a bunch of different paths that you could theoretically go down, but it's more like, as I say, game trails in the backwoods than it is like an actual
less trails
like,
and more openings.
Yeah, exactly. And so you can definitely like keep away from the sounds to the point where you cannot see what's making them. They're moving through. They are moving roughly toward you when you hear them. But if you want, you can kind of stay ahead of them for a little while.
That's kind of what I was thinking. Just out of the way of direct. If it's coming towards us, move out of the way so that it can continue on its path, but we can see it as it goes by. Sort of thing.
Okay, so you do want to try and get sight of it though, as it you're not
I'm
trying
curious.
Yeah,
Okay.
me too.
Me too.
All right. So are both of you gonna? How are you gonna go about trying to get a glimpse of this thing then? If we presume that distance alone, because if we presume its eyesight is as good as yours, what are you doing to try and catch sight of it?
Is there a particularly large fan of coral that we could hide behind?
Sure, yeah. There's a really attractive one that is like, it looks almost like peacock feathers. It's got sort of pink spiky things coming out, and then like really big round sections that are almost like discs that stick out of it in various spots, and they fan out much as you're describing as a fan, but like a peacock tail. So sure,
Dazzling.
there's something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
you
hide
know-
behind that and like peek around.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like Three
So-
Stooges style, like head on head, just sort of leaning around.
Yeah. Okay, so you can do that. Just sort of crouch down behind the fan, and you see that what's coming at you looks almost like a gigantic spider, but it's very very strange because it's a gigantic spider that's made of metal, and so it's got its like spider legs, which have various joints and segments in them, and the segments are attached to each other by sort of round sections that have they kind of like interlock with each other, like kind of this kind of thing, and there's bubbles that come out of the back of the spider periodically, like as it's venting off something, and then the spider has sort of a frame around its top, the top of its body, and there is a transparent material like glass or something like that that is kind of inside that framework, and then inside the glass or transparent material is what looks like an octopus, and the octopus has its various octopus legs on little levers and switches, and it's pulling and pushing on the levers and switches in order to move through the coral.
I'd
And move the-
totally drawn something like this on my notebook. This is crazy. Whoa.
Is this his garden? Should we leave?
Well, you say from the shade.
Yeah.
Good question. I don't know. This is really cool, though. Does that octopus look friendly to you?
It looks like it's enough of a threat that if it isn't friendly, then we're gonna lose big.
Hard to
yeah.
tell, have to ask. But before I do anything like that, can I ask if there's any information about what the octopus is cutting down in terms of the coral? Is there any pattern there? Are they taking away all the same colors? Are they taking things of a
Okay.
certain height, or is it just
Just a sec.
no Siri?
It's not it's are you asking Siri? It's not cutting down any of the coral. It's actually, it seems to be attempting to move through the coral, as you observe it. It seems to be trying to move through it in a way that disturbs the coral as little as possible.
Okay.
And in fact, the times that it does snap a little bit of coral off, it's times where it's like staggering or something like that, or looking again. It's almost like it is actively trying to avoid hurting the coral.
Is it then moving in the direction of the broken coral that Flan created, or is it aimless?
Just passing
So
through.
I don't want to say aimless, but I will say that you were in the area still where Flan got hurt before, and it was walking toward that area. And then you moved away from it, and it's kind of generally been moving in the same direction as you. So it's already past
Right.
that area. In terms of like, was it inspecting that or whatnot? No, it doesn't seem to have really noticed it. So it's being self-conscious of its own moves, but it doesn't seem to be like, coming to respond to a coral SOS, if that's what you're thinking.
Okay.
Does it
Well,
seem to
what do
be
you
moving?
think? Friend or foe?
I don't know how we'd be able to like get the attention of that thing. If it's like that, looks like it's okay. So it's not using that thing to like garden or whatever, like our other cool crab friends did up above. So I'm guessing the only other function of that thing would be to kick ass and chew bubble gum, and it's all out of bubble gum. So
Yeah.
I
maybe
also want to be very clear that when I say foe, that doesn't necessarily mean that we need to kick its ass. We could
True.
simply wait for it to leave or quietly leave ourselves.
I don't even know what side of it has an ass.
Right. Well,
Everything's got an ass.
look hard enough. There. Yeah, I'm up for going. I'm up for trying to find a way out of here. See what other wonders this cavern holds. Let's do that.
Okay, so do we want to wait until it's the octopus to see if it's going to leave, or do we want to try and sneak out beforehand?
Maybe a bit of both.
Sure.
Like try to kite around it towards an exit that it's not heading towards.
That sounds like a strategy.
Okay. So I mean, you
DM,
can
we do
hear
that.
it. You can hear it coming for sure. So you can move in a direction that it is not, and try to find your way still through this area of coral forest in a way that is not towards it. So sure, you move away from it, and over time you hear the sounds of it get farther away. In terms of your own ability to find an exit, why don't you go ahead and make me a wisdom save to try and find an exit from, or not an exit so much, but try to find your way out of this sort of particularly dense patch of coral. I'll say that you can work together on this. So why don't you nominate one person to make the check, and that person can have advantage.
Not me. I got a
You
critical one.
You should. Oh, so that was a not you?
That was a not me.
Okay.
I found a really pretty piece of coral, and I'm just very absorbed. Just, whoa.
Wisdom's one of the things I'm relatively known for. How about you, Clarabelle?
Passing.
Okay.
Passing. Yeah.
Shall I take this one then?
Sure.
Please.
It's 11 plus 3, so I'm going to take the advantage on that. 14, which I don't think is I think we need 15, right?
You need 15. I'll give it to you. This is not that hard. So sure, we'll say that you pass that. You find your way after a little while into a place where the coral opens up a little bit. So so yeah, it's still like there's still coral all around. You can't see walls so much, but it opens up into sort of more of a clearing or a thicket. And there's multiple different kinds of coral growing all over this place. And as you sort of come toward the clearing and look out, you see another creature of some description. It looks like it's a big collection of coral. So like all sorts of coral, much like you've been going through, but very densely grown together in a way that looks like almost sinew or an exoskeleton or something to that effect. And it's almost grown into plating and bone and whatnot into a roughly humanoid shape, and kind of nestled into the middle of it is another big piece of coral. You've probably seen coral like this that looks like kind of like a brain, and that's kind of embedded in the center as it moves around. Now, this creature is in fact paying attention to the coral itself. It appears to be adjusting things and picking up small pieces of coral off the ground and sticking them to itself and doing other things of that nature.
I was just hoping, as you were describing it, when you got up to the face, that it was a daughter piloting the thing.
It's like we can all hope for otter dogs to be able to.
If you want to shove an otter dog into an octopus exoskeleton later on, I'm not going to stop you.
And then
We need to
nothing
make
will
that
be
happen.
able to stop it.
Oh, gosh.
Boy, this thing looks intimidating.
It sure does.
It looks peaceful though, as long as we don't like kick the coral down.
Yeah, maybe could we ask this thing for directions? Would it be? It looks like it wouldn't like be against us trying to do what we're trying to do here. You know, if we show up looking very, reverent of the surrounding flora, maybe we could try to communicate it with it.
Maybe you should cover up those wounds made by the coral too.
We'll do.
Just in case.
Flan puts her arm behind her back and tries to look chalant and cool and approachable.
We are here to return the crown, so what if we just walk like a procession through the room very carefully, reverently pushing or carrying the crown along as we find an exit? Maybe it will respect our presence here.
Further to that, Clarabelle, did you say you speak fish or you just understand it?
Well, I understand the fish people from upstairs. This looks like it's more coral than fish. It might not even speak.
Yeah, I was hoping there might be a concept of basic or something that we could just announce to the world that, hey, make way for the procession of the crown of the Deep Queen. But not able to speak means not able to profess, meaning we'll probably just have to be quiet or look very official.
I mean, I can say that in the fish language.
If you can do that, then yes, we should do that as we proceed.
So 2 things. One, I guess 3 things. One, the creature is it has found some coral that it is now trimming. So it looks like it's a diseased section or something. It appears to be doing something with it, and it. And like, how are you all feeling right now in terms of, are you scared? Are you calm? How would you describe your mental states right now?
I mean, probably excitement actually, and just a twinge mixed with a twinge of fear, because we've gotten farther than any of our ancestors have ever dreamed of getting.
Yeah.
So we're feeling pretty good about that.
However you're feeling, can you imagine like an overlay of concern over top of that, of concern and empathy over top of that feeling? So you're not actually feeling it, but it's difficult to, but you're not actually feeling it yourself, but it's difficult to disambiguate it from your own feelings.
It's like my mother telling me to feel sorry for something, and I feel like
right.
I should feel sorry, but I don't know why. Got it.
Cool. All right. Well, then are we aware that it may be coming from, like, I'm metagaming, I can tell this is coming from the giant coral creature,
Yeah.
probably. I don't know if I would be smart enough to try to make myself feel, kind to strangers, sort of feeling like, oh, maybe get up, build on that empathy and concern thing, going, oh, I have a general benevolence for all creatures and all living things, regardless of whether it be plant or animal or weird plant animal.
Yeah.
And convey that as a form of communication of feeling this.
That might be what Flan is feeling, but Clarabelle is thinking, oh, weird vibes here. We're here on a mission. Let's focus on the mission. And is very much like feeling that weight and responsibility and kind of stoicing up a bit about it.
Okay. Flan, are you saying you were trying to project an emotion of like friendliness?
Yeah, trying to feel it. Like when you're acting, like sometimes you start to feel the way you're pretending to act, like you're trying to feel, open myself up, relax, breathe, get into the
Okay,
diaphragm, and just let you
it's
feel it.
it stops what it's doing and looks at you.
Oh, I look back and smile disarmingly. Hey.
Uh, you sense a feeling of concern.
I project a feeling of assuagement.
And then you know how you feel when like someone tries to put something on your plate and you're like, God, but I already have like 6 things to do today. You get a sense of that, and then it kind of turns around and goes back to what it was doing.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Watch your
What
feet.
was that all about?
Yeah.
I don't know. We felt some things at each other. This is very much like art school. This is surprisingly relevant to my experience. And then it turned away with disinterest, like my professors did. But it seems really busy, and I don't think it means us any harm exactly.
If we act like we're supposed to be here and watch our feet, we probably can just walk through this room.
Cool. Okay. Let's do it.
Seems
Sure.
like a good idea. Shall we take this time then to search for an exit? Or search for exits?
There are multiple exits. You don't need to search to see that there are more or less kind of 4 paths out of this room if you include the one that this area if you include the one that you came in through.
Okay.
Now, I know the academic has that one skill. If they do a wisdom or intelligence save, they get to basically search a room like you would any other room for free,
But
like
without,
no time
without
investment.
taking an action. Yep.
Yeah. I'd like to do that, I guess.
Go for it. Yeah. You can intuitively grasp the lay of the land, as it were, and see what might be of interest in the room.
Well, I rolled a 19 plus 2. So
That's
if there's
pretty good.
anything hidden here.
Well, I would say that you don't know. You're not seeing anything like I found a treasure box or anything like that. But you definitely do notice that you have actually seen some of this coral before in your studies. So there's a lot of different kinds of coral in the sea hereabout, and there are some of it is put to various uses by the people in your village, or sometimes you would have them put together. So people will dive down and get particularly rare kinds of coral. Sometimes you can find coral that's like always illuminated and can be used as like a torch that never goes out, providing you keep it wet. For example, that's not the kind of coral that you find here. But here you do find a couple of kinds of coral that are often repurposed as weapons. So you can break bits of them off. There's a particularly long, skinny kind that is called pike coral, usually. And you can literally just send a diver down to snap off bits of it, and they can act as a perfectly serviceable spear just by themselves. And similarly, there's another kind of coral here that you can identify as bulb coral, and it's kind of the same situation. You can use it as a water vessel to carry water from place to place. It makes a very serviceable like jug, but also, if you are mean, you can use it to whack people over the head, and it's a very serviceable cudgel.
Okay. I feel like we shouldn't mess.
Instant pot.
Yeah.
Coral.
I feel like we shouldn't mess with any of that right now.
Probably best, at least not while they're looking and or thinking at us.
Yeah.
Okay, so which way would you like to go? If you can go straight ahead, or to your left, or to your right, which one of those do you want to go through?
Yeah,
straight ahead.
Going straight.
Okay. You you go down here, and you see that the coral is starting to get thick around you again. And remember how I mentioned before that a lot of the light was coming through from up above, and you were able to see very effectively here without even having any sort of light source. That is increasingly not the case the farther you go in this direction. It is definitely getting darker.
I'll take this time to cast my Illuminate spell charge. Pearl.
All right.
Bit. Behold!
So illuminate creates floating light that moves at your command.
Mhm.
That sounds very effective. All right. And yeah, you can command it to move with you, and I think it'll just do that. So great. That's going to let you see a lot better. But once again, you can definitely tell that the coral is getting much denser here again, as it was when in the spot where you first came down. So it seems like this coral forest is actually quite thick, and it opens up in places, but it then kind of contracts again into these really thin, narrow areas. So you move through here, and you're starting to find more places where the path branches. So it's like, you can go left or right, and then you can go three different ways. And as an abstract, assuming that you're going to keep on trying to make progress through here, you might have trouble finding your way back should you ever want to.
Should I try my search thing to maybe like memorize the layout better?
I don't know if that is what that ability is for, but I think just being generally intelligent can help you with doing that. Or you could like come up with another solution as well. I'm open to creative solutions, but I don't think that ability is really for this kind of thing.
That's fair.
Firstly,
that's not to say because you don't have an ability that you can't do it, though. If you can come up with a cool way that you can do it, I'm absolutely into hearing about it.
Crank 4.
I'm extremely curious as to whether or not this deep queen likes places that are lit or dark.
Yeah. Maybe it's an ironic sort of name, like tiny for a really large person. Is she? No, because we do have to go down deeper, so I think it's more literal. So yeah, I'd be happy going into the dark. Shall we continue?
Let's keep moving forward.
Okay, so you're gonna continue moving through here, and continue taking various paths, and at some point, you are going to start to realize that you're not quite sure if you're still heading in the same direction that you were heading before. So can I get get you to nominate a wisdom save from someone in the group to try and navigate your way out? And again, you can have advantage because you're all helping out with this. This is not so much to try and find your way out as to like know which direction you came in, so that if you found the same entrance, you wouldn't go back through it and think it was a different entrance.
Keep your heading, yeah. I have a +1 to wisdom, the minimum. Does anyone have something better?
Metagaming, I've got a 4 in my wisdom.
I've only got a 2.
So I will probably take this then, unless anyone has any objections.
No.
Nope.
All right, go ahead, Crank 4.
I'm rolling terribly. That would give me a 9, which I do not think is even close.
So you're not super confident that you would be able to find your way out of here, but you're still like progressing and moving through and doing your best to find some sort of exit. But it's taking quite a long time, as you're as you're moving through, you're going to come upon a that is the wrong thing. You're going to come across what looks like a statue. It is a statue of a lady where she's an older woman. She has a crown on her head made of coral, and she holds a harpoon in one hand, but the harpoon is built into the statue. She has three fingers raised and her thumb and pinky held across her palm and held up like this. Now on her chest is a circle with 5 indentations on it. So it's imagine a circle, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 indentations sort of hemispherically around the top part of it. And it has blood on it. So it's blood stained. The blood looks pretty old, and it kind of drips down out of the general area of the circle.
Gory. Does the crown resemble the thing we're carrying around with us?
It does, in fact, resemble the thing that you're carrying around with you.
Is the crown on the statue removable?
Are you trying to remove it?
Yeah. You know what? Yes.
Okay. So you start monkeying with it. It doesn't seem like it's removable.
Oh, good. Okay.
From behind you, as you're checking out the statue and trying to remove the crown, you hear someone say, "What are you doing here?" And turn around to see 4 dolphin people.
Oh.
So we can understand what they're saying.
They are speaking in your language.
Oh,
Okay.
Good.
As you remember hearing tales of from your ancestors, dolphin people speak in a language that you can understand. In fact, you might be somewhat familiar with these creatures by having them raid your village every once in a while. They're dolopods. They are dolphin. Basically dolphin humanoid type creatures, which have a typically pretty nasty disposition. At least the ones that live near you do. They like to raid villages, and the ones near you are kind of fanatical a lot of the time. They seem to organize themselves into cults pretty easily and effectively. What are you doing to the effigy of the queen? This is a sacred spot!
No disrespect. We are simply here to return the crown, and we're hoping that maybe we could open a door or something by putting the real crown on the statue.
You are the ones who stole the crown from our queen!
That's actually a misconception in the storyline. But yes, we're here to return it.
Show me the crown!
We're good to...
I have it right here.
Well, the last time we showed these guys the crown, they tried to throw us in a pit.
That's a good point.
They bow down towards the crown. They are very excited about the crown. Well, if you are here to return the crown, what assurance do we have that you will return it to the queen herself? Says the spokesperson of the dolphin people. I'm only going to speak as one of them for right now.
Sure.
Simply because we are the crown returning party, and should we give the crown to anyone but the queen, we would be failing in our duties.
You don't want the queen to be angry, do you?
No! We do not. The queen angers already, but the queen does good things in her anger. Yes. Another one pipes up from the back row. Yes! The queen has found us many new places to live. There is a wonderful place called Aliantis nearby that was once the realm of land livers.
But now it is a place that we can call our home and raise our young and grow the faith.
Imagine what good deeds she could do in her happiness that she is not willing to do in her anger.
Or alternatively, how much more power she'll have when she's angry when she has the crown, either.
Yeah, that's got to be a stat buff at least.
This is interesting thought. Well, what propose you for us helping to return the crown?
We think that your party would be a boon to protect our party going through this particular maze to get to the queen. Why, protecting us from any danger would probably put you in a very good stead with the queen.
Yes, yes. We shall take the crown to the queen, and she will reward us greatly.
No! That would bring untold pain to you and everyone else in this particular maze, for we are the crown returning party, and if the crown is received from anyone but the returning party, grave consequences may occur.
Grave consequences?
Watery grave consequences.
Okay, so they're going to start talking to each other in some cetaceous language. Which
Very
sounds
chirpy.
like, yeah, dolphin chirps, and they seem to be arguing. They're arguing about something. One of them has some stone tablet that it keeps holding up and like pointing to and referring to, and the other ones are like have other dissenting opinions. Then another one like holds up a different stone tablet, and they're like having some sort of argument based on that.
I whisper to the others, hey, you know what I bet dolphin people are filled with? Dolphin
Meat!
blood and meat. Dolphin blood and meat. I'm not real invested in these guys. And they tried to throw our ancestors into a pit. What if we just jump them and then juice them and smear them on this old lady and see what happens?
Agreed.
Okay.
If this doesn't turn out the way we want it to, perhaps we'll make it turn out the way we want it to.
Sounds good. Okay.
All right,
Sure.
so you're jumping them.
We'll wait to see how this how they resolve their end.
Well, they're in the middle of some sort of theological argument. It seems, but they will come to a resolution and turn back to you and say,
Yes! We will take you and the crown to the queen and become heroes. You will first surrender all of your weapons, and you will come with us.
Okay. So
Do you not want us to help you on the journey down? We cannot do that if we do not have any of our weapons.
This is true. Yes, you will guide us down into the kelp forest and beyond to the queen. We will have an audience with the queen, which you will grant us, and then we will return the crown.
Sound good, guys?
Fantastic.
That's a deal.
Excellent.
So
Well,
you know
then
the way-
we should take the prophesized path, right, party members? The prophesized path.
Yeah, absolutely. that's it.
Yes. Yes, we will follow the prophesized path.
there's some dissent in the ranks. Not all the dolphin people seem to be totally 100% behind this idea, but you've got the ringleader on board. So there's still some like under the breath cetaceous grumbling going on as the remainder of the dolphin group, again there are 4 of them, seem to be not all completely on board with this.
Okay. Now I'm wondering
Well-
how you chitter under your breath. Huh.
I'm sure it's in frequencies we can't possibly understand.
That's true, actually. They do have access to those.
Well, let's. I will walk purposefully in a direction of an exit.
Okay. Well, so this is the thing. You're not totally sure about exits at this point, but you can walk, purposefully in a direction, and you can continue
Perfect.
taking paths in a purposeful manner, and they will continue following you for the moment. Can I get another one of those wisdom saves, please?
That would be a 20.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
So you're able to sort of get a sense of, as you move through, like maybe there's a little bit of light kind of over there. And somehow by taking, the right paths and seeing like, oh, it actually looks like something might have moved through here before, or something like that, you're able to navigate yourself toward that light and find your way out of this copse of this particularly dense copse of coral. And you find your way to a so the coral after it begins to become a little bit lighter, and as you move, it becomes a little bit less thick, and again opens up into something that is a little bit more like a clearing or a thicket. And you come to a large room. No, not a room, but a clearing. When I say room, you know that I mean clearing. So there's a bunch of statues in here, 5 of them, to be specific. There are 4 of them surrounding 4 of them surrounding a central one, almost like the pips on the 5 side on a D6. And looking at it, it looks like the instead of having a mouth, the 4 surrounding ones' mouths appear to be yelling, but instead of noise, water's pouring out of them, and it's pouring into a cistern that surrounds the 5th statue in the middle of the room.
Like a
So
fountain.
4 statues pouring water, and then 5th one surrounded by water.
And
what does this 5th one look like?
They all look more or less the same. So they're just like very, very large heads with sort of a like expression on them. They're human heads, interestingly, not fish heads or anything of that like. But they all appear to be more or less the same. So they're a male looking male presenting head with that's more or less bald, fairly heavy brow, big old Easter Island nose, and yeah, then just water pouring out.
Water is pouring out of its mouth as well.
No, just the 4 of them surrounding.
So we feed this one some water, right?
So yeah, that seems like a good fun adventure game logic. Let's do that. What does there any sort of like receptacle for water in the big serious man in the middle?
Sorry, there's a receptacle around it. So it's like, as I say, it's like basically sitting in a cistern.
Yeah. I think this is just public art.
What are you doing? This is an ornamental sacred space. We should continue moving.
We're really into public works, man. It's important. Civic self-esteem and all that. But yeah, sure. Like if you say there's nothing here, should we take a look around? What are you folks thinking about?
I think that we should give true reverence to all of the creations of the deep mother And I want you two to, I guess, pantomime doing that to the works here while I do a low-key search of the room. If I can do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So so you can do your low key search, no problem. So why don't you do that?
Well,
I'm sorry.
that's an 8.
I made a mistake in my description. The central statue is actually like mostly submerged in the water. So it's like submerged basically up to its head. So the outer ones are pouring water into the cistern, but the middle one is submerged. Sorry, I thought that was actually the case, and then it didn't seem to say that when I was like just glancing at the description, but it is slightly unclear. I should trust my memories more.
Hey, remember that thing I said earlier, guys? Let's do the opposite of that.
Right. Good idea. Oh, what could I clog a statue mouth with?
Or at least empty some water. Or
that-
Clarabelle, you finish your search here before we start doing anything that's actually actively destructive.
Well, I rolled an 8.
Okay, so you're not seeing anything of great note that you might find if you were able to spend some more time examining this spot.
Yeah.
The troops are getting anxious at the thoughts of plugging the statues, and any sort of desire to clamber on top of them is definitely being met with like a lot more sort of infighting among the dolopods. They are getting increasingly agitated. The one that has been on your side still seems to be supporting the idea that, but it's like,
We should go. We must continue on.
and I'm going to actually suggest that we take a quick commercial break at this point because my daughter needs to be put to bed. So that creates suspense, but also will allow me to quickly send her to bed. So why don't we reconvene in just a few minutes and see what we can make of this situation. And we're back. So we have found ourselves in this room. There are 4 statues around the outside. The 5th statue in the middle is submerged, mostly by water pouring out of the other 4. Also in the room, besides our heroes, are 4 dolopods, dolphin people. And it looks like you've got like the one that's supporting you, the one that is kind of that one's lackey. It's more or less agreeing with everything that the other one says and seems to be supporting everything that it says kind of unquestionably. And there's 2 others that just seem to be not in quite such a agreeable position as that one. So
Guys, if you wanna piss them off now and get into a fight, continue what you're doing.
I think we should take advantage of their knowledge of this place as long as possible.
Yeah.
Let's just. We were just admiring the architecture. It's not often we get to see representatives of ourselves.
Yes. This is true. There are not many of you land folks in the temple. Though many of the shrines do look like you.
Yeah.
It's
they're
actually quite unfortunate.
Yeah.
Not to us. Sorry.
Sorry, out of character. Did the Deep Queen look like one of the fisherman folk? Like,
she looks like a human basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
By all assuming that that's what that statue was, she looked like a human lady.
Interesting.
Yes, sorry. Both of my friends here are a bit nearsighted, so they had to get close up to truly appreciate the detail of the work down here. But I do understand that you want to get moving, so we should probably keep going.
One of the the sort of the ringleader a dolphin is like,
It's even more impressive when you stick your head under the water.
and it sticks its head in the cistern, and like, comes out and then spouts out the top of its head.
Ah, such wonderful art!
I know! Can you believe that we have our genitals outside our body? It's so weird!
Yeah, really weird, Crank
Exit.
4.
It's so weird.
Definitely.
I want to take a look, and I put my head in the water, and I open my eyes in what is probably salt water, but I want to see what's under the water now. What's down there other than some weird genitals?
The rest of the statue, it looks like there is. Okay, well, first of all, you hear some. It sounds like speaking. In fact, it sounds like you hear like bubbles, and it's very similar to the sound that the fish made when they spoke, and that's sort of moving through the water. Also, you see down at the bottom of the water there is a chest. It's a stone chest. And it is just sitting there at the very, very bottom of the cistern.
I whip my head out and I go, "Whoa, that's a rush! Hey, Clarabelle, you're really gonna want to see this." And I gesture over her to put her head in the water as well.
Yes, let's all have a very religious moment right now, and Clarabelle takes the plunge as well.
Okay, so Clarabelle, you stick you get baptized, and underneath you hear you do hear some speaking. It sounds almost like there is the statue itself is speaking out of its mouth, which is there underneath the water, and it's saying, "Where the father of the mountain mourns, where the father of the mountain mourns. Where the father of the mountain mourns."
Okay. Clarabelle will make a note of that. Does it cling to anything that she would know in her history as someone who grew up in this society?
I don't think so. I think that enough time has passed that any of this stuff would have been long since either forgotten or consigned to myth and legend. And I think in this case, we're going to go with forgotten.
Okay. But through inference, Clarabelle will think the father of the mountain must be part of the Deep Mother's family.
Yeah.
If he exists.
The sort of dichotomy of the Deep Queen and the father of the mountain, that thing.
Yeah.
Seems to make sense. So do we want this chest or do we want to move on?
I mean, I always want the chest, but also... and if we come back later as different selves, the chest might not be there. Which is frustrating. Okay. But if it's a stone chest, it might be hard to get open. I feel like we'd really have to start screwing around with this fountain to really get at it, and that might piss off the other dolphin folks. But
I feel like we can't have the dolphins and the chest.
I feel like we go as far as we can with the dolphins, and then we deal with that as it comes, and then go against there.
We could go to a room with maybe another room with that like weird were shark monster, and we just leave them in there and split. Like we could do something like that.
Yeah.
Metagame wise, I do not have my denial pearl with me. I currently only have illuminate, hover, and scales of iron. So take that as you will.
Okay. So yeah. So shall we?
DM pay no mind to what I'm carrying on.
Our adversarial relationship mandates that I have to write down everything you just said.
Yeah.
Open information. Yeah, shall we just continue on then?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
go.
All right. There are 3 exits from here. You are the ones leading the sacred path. So
Which way shall we proceed?
Once again on the sacred path, straight ahead.
all right. So this again is going to take you into a sort of a coral thicket with not such a dense collection of coral, but definitely a varied one. And it's again all sorts of different types. And again, there is one of these coral creatures, artificial coral creatures, moving through the coral, and this one appears to be creating sort of a, oh my gosh, what do you call it? A trellis? It's creating a coral trellis that it's sort of connecting to. It looks like it actually like lifted it all, like raised the barn all the way up to the ceiling, and it's kind of like slanted this frame down the room, and it's now taking little bits of coral and kind of drilling them into little holes that it's made all around it.
Well, we know how to deal with this guy, right? Same as before.
I guess I say one of the dolphin dudes. Dolphin dudes, what's that about?
It is a reef golem. It takes care of the plants.
That's cool. Do you pay them like monthly, or does the building pay for it? Like,
It is part of the reef. You would do well not to disturb the coral while they are nearby.
yes, good advice. Thanks.
Why would we ever want to do that?
Well, there are many reasons that you could want to disturb the coral. Sometimes there are very interesting kinds of coral.
Oh, yeah?
For example, that over there is fire coral. If you throw someone into it, it explodes.
Wow.
Fascinating.
Gosh. What other kinds of coral are there? Dolphin.
There are coral that you can scrawl with. There's coral you can stab people with. All sorts of coral.
That's
It has
fascinating.
many uses.
3 kinds of coral.
Well done. Well, this is great. I'm a big fan of botany. It's a fun time. Well, this is good. So we just to walk by this coral golem. He's not gonna bother us. We don't bother them.
You just do not talk to them. They can't talk because they're stupid.
And it waves it. One of them is like waving his hands at the coral golem, going in sort of like mocking fashion.
Oh well, I do not approve of that, but I say okay, fair enough. So let's shall we what say you, compadre? Shall we continue on the sacred path?
Do we
Continue.
want the golem to get angry at them so we can vamoose?
Ooh.
So actually, as they are turning to or the ringleader is turning to agree with you, and the other ones are starting to sort of like follow in the direction, or trying to figure out, like spreading out around the room and whatnot, and some of them are as I say mocking the golem. There is sort of a big part of the ground, almost a disc-shaped part of the ground, kind of comes together like a gigantic bear trap around one of the dolphin people, and has a lot of teeth all of a sudden for a piece of the ground. So it brings its giant bear trap like mouth to bear, and and there's a slight loading indicator. Where it slices into the flesh of one of the dolphins and does a bunch of damage.
I'm sorry, is this engulfing the entire dolphin or like a bear trap on its leg fin?
Okay, so what it appears to be is, as I say, this big disc sort of like goes around the dolphin, and then it kind of like moves out, and you can see that what it actually is like a big worm, but it's got this giant flat head that can stretch out and then like sit on the ground and camouflaged in a manner in which it is camouflaged, and then sort of like just pop out and grab onto things. So its head is actually sort of like semi-transparent, like a jellyfish, but it's obviously kind of hard. And yeah, it is just taken off. Not quite taken off one of this dolphin person's legs, but definitely gotten it right down to the bone. It's done a lot of damage to it. And they start yakking in cetaceous, and the dolphins are gonna immediately turn around and try and attack it. Why don't we roll some initiative?
Okay.
Who wants to roll that?
I'm going to take my roll.
Sure.
Okay.
It was a 20.
All
You
right.
gotta roll a d6. We want you guys are looking for a 4, 5, or a 6 on a d6.
Ah,
4, then, if we're going to stick with me.
sure.
Okay, so you can, the 4 of you can act first. And reminder, you can act in whatever order you want. You can mix up your actions. Like one of you can take an action, and then another person can take an action, and the first person can take an action again. Just act in whatever order you please.
Mm-hmm.
The dolphins look shocked and look like their immediate reaction to this, to getting attacked, is to turn around and attack back.
Should we just flee?
Ain't it?
I think we do, actually.
Okay.
I think this is their business, and as long as we remain on our business, we cannot be. We cannot wait.
Yes, we're on an important sacred path.
Okay.
Good dolphin friends, we must leave you.
It's been a slice.
And a dice.
Or at least a bite. Regardless, we must.
So are you
Yeah.
like actually running away at this point, or are you gonna like announce that you're running away and hang out and see what they do?
I think we just announce and leave.
Okay. Well, do you want to go back into the room that you just came from, or do you want to head out one of the other exits?
If we go back, we might be able to get the treasure, but I do feel like they would notice that.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we're making it look like we have to leave because we're on a time limit, futzing around with the chest does not make the lie.
Also, it would mean, I'll also say, yeah, time limit. We know what the sacred path is. Yeah, we should definitely stride confidently.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Okay, so where are you going?
Following the straight line ahead.
All right,
If that is one of the options.
that is one of the options. You can keep on going straight. So you are going to head into a.
Catch up with us when you can.
So you're going to head into basically an identical twin of the room that you just left. So it's the 4 statues around the outside, another one in the middle, and the same water pouring from the 4 on the outside. The difference here is that the heads look a little bit different. They have a different face shape about them. We'll say that this one presents maybe a little bit more as female, And so the details are slightly different, but the general setup seems to be more or less the same. And also in this room is a fire and a crab person.
Hey.
Crab person with a little sign, and it's sitting by the fire. And as you run in, it looks up at you, and it makes some sort of gestures and clicks that Clarabelle, you understand to mean like, oh, hello. And then a dolphin runs into the room after you, and it lets out this horrible shriek, which I'm not going to make into the microphone. But if you can imagine like a whale call or a dolphin call, but like really, really high pitched and awful, that is basically what it is. And I'm going to need you all to make a con saving throw, please.
Sure.
Okay.
I passed. I got over 15.
Okay.
Failure.
Okay.
Pass.
So if you fail,
Yeah.
your ears are going to start bleeding. You're going to feel really horrible and nauseous, and you're going to take 3 points of sonic damage. And you're just shaken to the core. Your entire body is just, ugh. And you are stunned for a round.
Cool.
Okay. Then what I would like to do as Flan is with the mace in one hand, I'm gonna go up to the dolphin and I'm gonna say, "Hey, buddy, let's just calm down," and then beat him with the mace in a sneak attack.
Okay, I'm going to finish up the dolphins action, which is that the other 3 of them run into the room.
Oh shit!
after
Damn
you.
it!
So
Okay.
before you do that, I'm gonna let the rest of the dolphins go. I need to do that too. All right. So and now why don't we roll initiative for the next round? So you won initiative last round. Only one of you, Flan, is actually able to act this round. So why don't you roll initiative?
Sorry,
you
I
both-
passed as well.
Oh, I missed Clarabelle pass too. So one of you two should roll initiative.
Okay.
Go for
I
it,
guess
Flan.
Yeah, sure. Here we go. I got a 2.
Okay, 2. So that would imply that everyone else gets to act before you do. So let's do that. So the first thing that's going to happen is the worm from the other room is going to swim in after the dolphins and take a chomp at the one of them that or at the back, one in the back, which is not the one that ran in after you. Oh, that's pretty nasty. So it does some significant amount of damage to it, and I need to roll on a really fun table. There it is. Where is? Sorry, one of my dice is missing. So it bites off the dolphin's arm. So clean off and down the gullet into the worm. Then the dolphins are going to go. So they have followed you, but they have now realized that the worm is potentially a bigger problem. So they're going to turn around and start attacking the worm.
Okay.
I think it looks like we can't lose them, we should attack the worm. Unless we want to keep running forward.
Or we could let them just fight each other and hide behind the statues and wait till see, somebody is going to be bloodied and weak by the end of it. We could just take down the nearly dead one.
I'm inclined to go with Flan on this one.
Sure. I mean, all I have is a dagger, so I'll go with your plan.
The dolphins fairly quickly dispatch the worm. So the worm, they use their spears and scimitars to poke and slash and otherwise otherwise do damage to the worm, such that they are finally able to chop its gullet and let the jellyfish-like or transparent head float away from the remainder of the body. Though it looks like actually after the worm came out, most of its body was transparent, so it's probably still got like a little dolphin arm floating somewhere down the hatch. The crab is gonna get pretty grumpy at the dolphin coming in and using its scream, and so it is going to hold up its claws and sort of like, well, actually, you can understand it, Clarabelle. So it's basically going like, "What are you doing here? This is my territory. What do you mean coming into this room and yelling at me like that? Remove yourselves immediately." Your turn.
Do we remove ourselves immediately? I tell them what the crab is saying.
Oh.
You must, yes, we must remove ourselves immediately. You will come with us. We must complete our mission.
Of course, the prophesized path.
Yeah. This is the prophesized path. Well, that was a doozy of a thing. We should keep going.
The crab is just going to look at you, and it's like it's giving you this look like it's not sure, and then it's like gesturing and clicking and whatnot. Like, are you with them basically?
Just gesturing like, we are going. We are going.
Okay. Which way do you want to show the crab that you are going?
Straightforward again.
I should point out that this room has, again, 4 exits.
Unless anyone has any other ideas, I'm going straight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Straight
I
line.
guess I'll follow you that way.
Continuing down the chosen path.
And how many dolphins are left at this point that aren't bleeding out from dismemberment? How?
Yeah, well, the one dolphin has lost its arm, and it is pretty upset about that. 2 of the dolphins are like pretty grievously injured at this point, and as I say, the one is sort of now very hesitant. It's going to again. It's like it's kind of talking in a way like it's gesturing towards like going back or going in a different direction. And the dolphins that don't like you, neither one of which is hurt. Both seem to be more intent on pressing forward, but there does seem to be an argument going on there. The dolphin is not interested in talking to you in your language, but it is definitely grieving its lost arm. I'm not going to go so far as to have a scene where it like picks up its arm, but like it's very sad.
Oh, I almost feel bad for these fish boys.
Yeah.
All right, I guess. Onward and onward. No fish left behind except for those who fall behind. Let's go.
For the glory of the deep queen.
Indeed, our story will be told in even greater grandeur for the pains we have suffered.
And you have suffered.
Yes, mostly you have suffered.
So you're going to come into another wrong area. Sorry. You're going to come into another sort of relatively open area that has a bunch of strange huts. And elevated little sort of basket-like stuff, and a bunch of the fish people that you have seen before. in this area, or in the above area. So there are 6 fish people in here at this point, and they look up at you as you come in. It looked like they were there's definitely some like child fish people as well. Just this, you've come into the middle, basically the middle of their little settlement. Look like they might have been cooking something up and getting ready for dinner, just as you sort of wandered into their homes, and they're kind of like looking up at you, wondering what you are doing there.
Mm-hmm. How does it look like they feel about the dolphin people when they see them?
They're actually quite scared of the dolphin people, and there are, let's see, there's 4 of them that have, or no, there's 8 of them that have weapons, and they don't have them on them, but they are like going and getting them, and those that have them on them are raising them up. Those of you who speak Pisine will understand that they're saying, "What are you doing here? Get out of this! This is not your territory."
Flan screams, "Help! They're taking us prisoner! Help, fish!"
There's some confusion, Clarabelle, among the fish as to like what is being said. They look nervous. Is he attacking? I don't know. Hold the ground.
We want to do this plan, Flan?
I guess I'm committed to it now, man. And I
Okay.
turn around.
Clarabelle runs in, yelling in Piscine. Just that kind of sentiment, like, help. They are attacking us. We need your help.
All right.
And purposely avoids the sticky seaweed that they probably have hanging somewhere as a trap.
I mean, you just assume.
Yeah.
All right. So why don't we do one of those initiative rolls?
Okay.
And we'll see what happens.
Okay,
I guess
who hasn't
I'll
rolled
roll it
initiative
since
yet?
I was running forward.
sure.
Yeah.
A 2.
A 2. All right.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to see who acts first between the fish or the dolphins. The dolphins are going to act first. So,
Okay.
So one of them is just like, "What are you? We are going through on a sacred quest. Stop talking to the land monkeys." And they're going to start like just menacing the fish with their spears. Clarabelle, you're getting the sense that they don't actually speak the language of the fish people.
The Piscine.
So maybe
yeah.
they don't quite understand what you're saying, but they seem to think that you are saying that you should push through, and they're going to sort of start marching through the fish people and holding their spears menacingly in their direction.
That's kind of what we want to happen, I think.
All right, I'll let the fish people go, and I'm just going to have... I like the plan of having the fish people attack them. So you know what? Let's have the fish people attack the dolphin people.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have 8 fish. 8 fish that have weapons or have been able to get weapons in this sort of pre-initiative phase. I have 2 hits on the same dolphin, and they are... One of them is just biting, and one of them is using a scimitar. So they gang up on one of the one that you did not like, who has been not hurt yet, and they take attacks at it. And that brings us back to you in initiative. What would you like to do?
I would like if the dolphins started to advance forward, and they're facing the fish people, leaving us behind the dolphin people. I would like to take my newly magical mace and beam one of them in the head, like I wanted to before, and then get them on two fronts.
Okay, so there's your friend, the one that was sort of the ringleader and standing up for you.
Yeah.
There's there's one that has been there's that dolphin sort of like comrade in arms who's been badly hurt. There's one of the two that didn't like you that's lost an arm, and then there's the fourth one that just got beamed by two fish. Which one would you like to target?
This is a oof. I feel like I should get one of the nearly dead ones, because then there will be, with the ones that like me, there will be a moment of betrayal that I could also buy us a little time, while the other ones who don't like me will attack immediately. So I'm going to take my mace. Oh gosh, Flan is surprisingly cold-hearted, but she is going to whoever looks most injured and is further back, so that the other ones in front will have a longer time to react. I'm just going to just hammer home this mace on some dolphin head.
So yeah, the one that's missing an arm, that one?
Yes, I suppose so.
All right,
And how
make
did
me
you
an
juice?
attack roll.
I will do. How did you juice this mace, Ian?
So the text reads that enchant a weapon or piece of armor on one floor. Enchanted weapons give the attacker bracket plus close bracket on attack rolls, which I assume means advantage, but
Advantage, yeah.
Advantage,
Yeah,
okay.
that's the notation for advantage.
Okay, let's have some advantage mace. Here we go. That was a 6, not bad. That was a 3, 6. 6 damage.
Wait, you got to make.
Or no, I have to roll.
First.
I have to roll. I got ahead of myself. I just assumed.
How is a 6 good?
But this sort of attack is like T-ball. It's just set up for you. I just assumed I'd be able to. Okay, here we go. Here's the attack roll. Here we go. Oh gosh, please.
You haven't watched enough Child's T-ball to think it's going to happen automatically.
That's true.
I went into T-ball as like a 5 or 6 year old, thinking that I was gonna get home runs every game. It did not work out that way.
Yeah.
Sorry. Please proceed.
Well, I rolled an 18.
Okay. Well, you've got a hit.
I got a hit. Great.
So 6 damage.
6 damage.
Okay. So the dolphin that was already missing an arm, you come and slug it on the head, and it just goes straight down.
Excellent. Oh, yeah.
Splat.
And Flan feels kind of like, yeah, and sort of slight remorse. It's the art school coming back, like, oh, this is really violent, but no, it went well.
Okay, actually, yeah, and I forgot to mention, sand scatters all over the floor.
Right.
I know. I have something else I need to do on my action anyway. But
yeah, sure, yeah.
It is. It's all of your actions. So you can
perfect.
do what you like.
Easy one. I'm just going to be casting Scales of Iron on myself. That has 1 charge left on the spell pearl now, and it gives me +2 armor defense until my next exploration turn.
Okay.
Okay, and I have a violet slug and a green slug. That is as much information as I wrote down.
Mm-hmm.
I think you gave me hints as to what they might do before, but
I don't think I did for those slugs.
okay. That is my only ranged thing, since I did kind of run away from the front line a bit.
Okay.
So I'll eat the violet slug and see what happens.
Oh, that's a good one. Sure.
Violence?
Hopefully.
We should make sure that none of these dolphins survive.
Yeah. This is just a brutal execution of these poor friends. It's like that scene in Goodfellas. You walk into a room and the floor is covered with plastic. It's just oh.
1, 2, 3.
Take the scallops.
3 dolphins and 8 slugs or 8 fish. Right? Yeah.
Yeah. living at this point.
3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so there's one of the fish, Clarabelle, that you just hate. You cannot stand that particular fish. Not all fish, not all everyone, just that particular fish needs to die. It is the worst possible piece of worst possible life form to ever grace the earth. It is the cause of all your problems. It is the cause of your entire village's problems. It is probably the Deep Queen in disguise. That fish needs to die on your next turn.
Time to fillet a fish.
Let's
I'm
roll some
loving it.
initiative.
Who wants to roll?
I think Crankor has been the longest without rolling initiative.
2.
Great.
Don't ask me to do that again.
So we'll say that the fish get to go first. Again, there's still 8 fish, but they managed to get the jump on the dolphins this time. Wow. Okay. So the ringleader gets walloped. The last remaining one that did not like you gets stabbed. That one gets whacked again. The ringleader gets very, very mildly hurt, and the ringleader gets whacked again. So that one's been hit by like 4 fish, but it doesn't actually seem to be dramatically injured. The fish are not actually super effective. The dolphins are going to go now, and the first one is going to let out that horrible ear-splitting, gut-shaking screech again. So I'm going to need everyone to make a Constitution save, please.
What number are you going for?
15 for me. So I believe that's a pass.
Yes,
did
that is
not
a
pass.
that is a pass.
Fail.
Nope. Okay, so the two of you each take 3 points of damage as, again, your ears bleed, you vomit, your bones shake, and all sorts of other horrible effects happen. And then the ringleader dolphin is going to say to you,
We should leave. We must go. We are outgunned. We are outdone.
and he's like gesturing for you to go, and really hoping that you follow him. But the 3 dolphins are gonna flee. They're gonna take off out the south sort of exit of this area, and head away from the current combat.
Sacred path.
The one
Sacred path.
that screeched at you is maybe moving a little slower, but the 3 of them seem like they're pretty much done. Your initiative.
If we didn't pass, we're stunned, right?
That's right.
So we don't get to act.
That's right.
Does that mean that the hatred wears off before I actually do anything?
No.
Ooh.
Okay.
It's not just for 1 round. When I said that it needs to die this round, I meant it like needs to die like immediately. But you get reprieve from actually attacking it, if you do not in fact want to attack it.
I'm seeing red, but very blurrily right now.
Yeah, you might be like kneeling over and like yelling and cussing at it and saying things, but you can't, like, you don't have the wherewithal to like actually stagger around or anything like that. You're pretty much just stunned.
I made sure to learn all of the special swears in the Piscine language just for this occasion.
Okay. To be clear, you're not berserk. You just hate that fish.
Yeah.
So it's your round. Who actually gets to act? Just Crank for, or does Flan get to go too?
I'm stunned. I guess I'm
Okay,
stunned
yeah.
by the screech.
Yeah.
Are the fish currently looking aggressive towards us?
So they are like pointing their weapons at you now, and like still being very aware of the dolphin, the dolphins that just left. But they look very wary of you, and they are again looking at you and kind of giving you the old.
I am going to grab my two comrades by the scruffs of their necks and move us towards the opposite exit that the dolphins went out of.
You can't actually go in that direction because there's no exit there. But you could go opposite the entrance that you just came in.
That's good enough.
I'll remind you as well, just in case you're interested, that there is a dead dolphin and a bunch of sand on the ground, and there's a bunch of sand from the worm in the previous room. If you're gonna gobble up that sand, that's gonna take some time. Like you're not. Gonna be able
you know what? I'm not touching my comrades. I'm taking that dolphin sand.
Okay, you're just mowing down on that sand. All right, let's enter initiative and see what happens on the next round, and then we'll talk about what happens as a result of eating the dolphin sand.
I think Clarabelle, being the most angry, should get initiative right now.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Rolling it? Sure.
Yeah, do it.
Oh, great. 6.
6. Okay.
Well, we're bones.
Yeah. We got
So you get to act
far.
first.
We got real far.
So you get to act first. What would the three of you like to do? A reminder: you all act at basically the same time. So
Okay.
maybe you can. Well,
Please.
actually, let's Crankor. Let's talk about what happens to you.
That's a good point. Yeah, that could change my mind on a number of things right now.
So your forehead expands.
Sweet.
It kind of balloons out, and you get like a couple of sort of lobes at the front. But that's like mostly to allow you to have like much bigger sinuses. So your sinuses sort of like grow like right up into your forehead, and
It's like injecting myself with saline, but
you have this ability now to make a loud clicking noise out of your head, and when you are resting, so not necessarily like when you're just walking around and whatnot, but if you like stop and like take in the room, you realize that you can actually pick up some information about things that are there. So this would allow you to, for example, see in the dark.
hot damn.
Because you can echolocate effectively.
Cool.
Gotta add that to the character sheet here.
But you just get the worst headaches. Like if you get a head cold.
So Flan and Clarabelle, how is and actually we'll say crank 4, you're done eating, done mowing down, and said, oh, also you get 400 experience points, so I think you're going to gain a level.
Wow.
But not all of you, just crank 4. Because remember, sand is either directly convertible to XP or money, so you can choose what you want to use it for. So Flan and Clarabelle, what would you like to do? Oh, and crank 4, you spent your last round eating the sand, so you can act too.
I would like to get my bearings after the horrible sound and look around and see what my compatriots are doing, and I see Crank 4 just mowing down on some good dolphin sand. And by the way, when you're not filling up with saline, you're filling up with baleen. And when I tried to catch a glimpse of Clarabelle and what do I see when I look at Clarabelle? How is her mental state?
Clarabelle, what have you been doing while you've been stunned?
Well, I've just turned very extremely red in the face. Because of the disorientation from the noise, but also just from anger.
Right.
And I think I'm trying to gesture Crank 4 and Flan over to like team plan how we're going to kill that one fish.
Okay.
So can you give me an example of how you're saying you need to kill the fish? Like what you're saying you want to do to the fish? Any other details you'd like to elucidate on?
I'm going to be convincing.
The first couple sentences are in Piscine because Clarabelle doesn't notice that she's speaking in it.
Okay.
But then she clears her language a bit. That fish has done unspeakable things to all of our ancestors. I don't remember any of them. They were that bad. I just got a brain wave. It must have been something from the Deep Queen or something, maybe the Crown. But that fish has done things, unspecific but terrible things. So we should do very specific and terrible things to it in its immediate future.
So, were those dolphins with you? What's going on? Are you passing through? What's happening?
Is that the specific fish saying that, or a different one?
I think that specific fish is no, it's like one or two of the ones in the front. That one is like further in the back, but it's sort of looking around and covering the exits and making sure that like sort of looking through the way that you came through and making sure that there's nothing else that's going to come through that way.
Okay. I mean, Clarabelle's just going to keep going on unless you two interrupt her and try and clear her head.
No, I'm actually going to give. I'm going to do an intelligence check on myself here.
Yeah, I mean, you can do what you want, Clarabelle. I think that you hate this fish, but you're also smart enough to understand that if the three of you just run into attack these fish right now, they're probably going to kill you. So, like,
that's why she's trying to plan it.
Okay.
Oh, good.
I rolled really well on myself for my intelligence check, so I don't believe you.
Do you notice any of the slime out of the corner of my mouth?
It's definitely something to do with that.
Yeah.
I would say that you definitely all saw Clarabelle eat the slug, and you also have like ancestral memories of what happened when one of Flan's ancestors ate a slug and charged into battle in a rather unfortunate way. So
I'm going with my initial plan of grabbing these two and forcibly dragging them.
Okay. Yeah. So the fish are going to be like, what's going on? What's happening? But they'll definitely let you through if you're just trying to get to the exit and not putting up any sort of fight for them. Sure, they'll let you move through to the other side and into a room that is dominated by a big spiral staircase going down.
Go down the stairs. Go down the stairs.
Absolutely.
All right.
And before we go down the stairs, I turn to Clarabelle. Clarabelle, I know you're feeling things right now. We've all been on slugs before. It's all made us feel some things that maybe aren't like the things that we normally feel. And I know you don't believe me, and that's okay. But we gotta keep going, friend. We can, if you want, we can fight. We'll get the crown back, and we can come back and kill that fish dead. Whatever you need, man. But we gotta stay focused.
We should rest up before we return anyway.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sorry. Absolutely.
All right.
You finally recovered. You sound a little bit squeakier now too.
Did you want to rest? Did you want to go down the stairs?
Yeah, let's. I feel like we should rest and maybe repair my own hit points. But if y'all are fine, I feel like we can move to the next room at least, get down, and then do the rest. But
yeah.
I mean, I have a little damage too.
Yeah, because if we rest here, then something could come in and try to kill us. Or we could go into the next room, get our experience points, and then find something that's trying to kill us. So I say we go.
Oh
we
my
go
goodness!
Do that.
Watch this.
I think that's the plan.
Okay. So yeah, you head down the stairs, and sure enough, you each get 1,200 experience points.
Oh wow!
So we should quickly level up your characters because I know that that's something that you've never done before.
Mhm.
So let's quickly and actually, why don't we just do that and then call that the session for the evening? We went a little bit long last week, but we've been going, long enough that we should probably be looking at wrapping it up pretty soon. But for right now, let's have a look at the Knave document, and that is where you're going to find the information that you need to level yourselves up.
Okay, we're doing it from that one.
1,000 points per level, or is it just?
It is 1,000 points per level. So I think Crank 4 might actually have gained 2 levels.
That is
Sweet.
correct.
Dang.
So, so if you open up Knave, you should find some information on going up an experience level. So Knave is of course classless, but you will have the ability to raise some of your ability scores.
I've got the information right here. When a PC gains a level, they roll a number of d8s equal to the new level to find their new HP maximum. If the result is less than their previous maximum, their maximum HP increases by 1. They also raise their defense and bonus scores of 3 abilities to their choice by 1 point.
Okay.
Yeah. So you choose 3 of your ability scores and raise them by 1, and then you re-roll your hit dice. So if you're like right now, you're first level, so you have 1 hit die. If you've gone to level 2, you roll 2d8 and take the higher value between that and the previous value. If you go to level 3, you roll 3d8 and take the higher value between that and the previous value. So if you roll less on 3 somehow than you do on 2, you still get to keep your 2, and then you get to add 1 to it, just because that's nice.
That happened to me.
It does happen sometimes, but
Cool.
Nice.
Crank 4 now has a maximum hit points of 18.
oh my
Oh,
god!
wow. How? Oh, wait, you have 3 levels. Yeah.
A lot of dolphin sand.
Wow.
Yeah, Crank 4 get the mutation bonus, and yeah. So, and you'll get 2 sets of 3 ability score increases. So that's also pretty nice.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to the HP, I'm sorry, I'm slow to pick up rules. So
Yep, no worries.
I have an HP of 6 max right now. I rolled 1d8 and I got a 5.
So roll another d8
Okay.
because you're level 2. So level 2, you roll 2d8.
Oh right, yes.
And you get the sum of those, or your previous value plus 1, whichever is higher.
Okay. Oh, nice. Well then, so I rolled a 5 and a 4. So
you're at 9.
So I'm at 9. Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And I can plus 1 to
You're as beefy as I am.
All right. Well, that was pretty quick. So why don't we? So the other upshot of that is that any sort of thing that has a bonus of L or a bonus that is determined by L will go up by 1. So if you had if you cast a spell that talks about like a duration of L or something along those lines, that will also go up by 1.
That's fantastic because that really that levels up my hover pearl.
Yeah, that's particularly for Crank 6 now, apparently.
Let's keep going for like 1 or 2 more rooms because we've got like a little bit of time, and then we'll call it in just a little bit. Okay,
All right.
I think we've got time for you to head down these stairs. So the first thing that you're going to discover when you get down here is that it is now much harder to see. So light down here is much murkier. And you are coming down. Interestingly, the room with the stairs was much more along the lines of the first level of the temple. It was instead of just being this this sort of forest of kelp with sort of sand and stuff, normal sand, not special sand, as a floor. It was more like an actual like constructed temple environment. Coming down to this next floor, it also seems to be much more like the first level, this sort of entry level room that you come to. But looking out the doors on the three sides of it, you can see that you can see some kelp and sort of weaving through the edges of the weaving through the edges of the doorway. So it looks like the kelp forest that the dolopods were talking about. You may have actually come down into it, and the sort of room that you're in might represent sort of almost a house or building just in the middle of this big forest full of weaving kelp that you can sort of see moving around you outside the doors.
Hmm.
Neat.
There are three exits from this room besides the one that you just came down, that being the stairs.
Should we rest here or go forward immediately?
Does the leveling up process reset my hit points back to their max level, or are they stuck where they were?
You still have as many wounds as you had before.
Okay, then I don't think I need the rest.
Okay. Yeah, then that would put me at not dire hit points as well, if we wanted to keep going.
Shall I step outside and let forth a mighty click?
Yes, please.
Please
Take
do.
away.
All right,
so I
which
just like
way
to
are you
step
going?
Let's take is east an option?
Yes, sure. So
Let's take
that'll
the
be on
east.
your left as you go down.
Yeah.
You're facing south as you come down. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So you come out of there into it is a thicket, another thicket. So yeah, the
Two C's.
you're
Maybe even
coming
three.
to, again, like this, it's sort of like you're going down a path of or a path in a forest, but the forest is just entirely seaweed. So whereas the floor above was all like angular coral, it was very sharp and whatnot. This is very wavy seaweed, and it gets tangled up in itself and whatnot. And what you're coming to is sort of like a very, very dense area of seaweed that you're just not going to be able to move through unless you actually put some effort into either like squeezing and shimmying through it and kind of climbing up it, and that would be like a pretty uncomfortable process. Like you would be sort of it would be kind of squishing you and crushing you as you move through it, or you would have to like cut through it.
And I assume this is pretty tall seaweed, right?
Yeah, it more or less blocks your path as you're moving through it.
I have a machete.
And as you, sorry, go ahead.
I mean, I have a machete that we could use.
What you thinking, Flan?
I'm not really thinking anything. I think that's machete sounds good. Like we could hack our way through. Seems like a perfectly. That seems great, friend. Let's whack our way through some kelp. Let's whack our way through the kelp way. Let's do it.
All right. So you start hacking your way through the kelp, and this is going to work. You can cut it. Anyone else who has a cutting instrument can definitely contribute to this, moving right through it. And you're gonna do that for a little while before one of your implements. Who's helping with this cutting business?
I am.
I've got an echo, so I can definitely assist with this as well.
Okay. So the two of you are cutting through and Crank 4, your Eku is going to hit something hard at some point as you're going through. It's going to make kind of a clang, and it looks like there's some sort of stone here. So whereas a lot of what you're moving through is pretty organic, the walls are pretty organic coming up here. This is definitely like some sort of stone edifice.
Hmm.
And the seaweed seems to be growing from the ground around it. But if you like sort of move some of it away, you can see that there's like it's like a wall or something. It's difficult to tell.
I'd absolutely like to take some time to examine this. Move around the edges of it with whatever is necessary to do so, or whatever time is necessary to do so.
It's going to take some time. Is sort of the main thing, and so you're going to have to do some serious cutting to get around it. And as you're doing that, a bulbous head pops through some of the seaweed next to you, followed by one metal leg and another 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 metal leg, as the octopus spider bot comes out of some of the seaweed next to you, and it sort of looks at you and sees you, and it does what you would expect it to do. It starts changing color at you.
That's exactly what I expected.
Yeah, and waving its tentacles, and sort of gesturing at you, and trying to ascertain what it is. But I mean, maybe I'm giving you too much insight into what it might be doing. But it's gesturing at you in ways that are not apparently aggressive.
Clarabelle in Piscine asks it what this place is.
It does not talk to you in Piscine, but it moves away down from the direction that you came, and then it lifts up one of its electric arms and goes like.
Do you want to follow it, gang?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued.
DM, we do that?
Sorry, Eddie?
I'm intrigued by Octomech. Let's go. Yeah. Let's follow this thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so it takes you back through the room that you came through, and then out another exit from it, and into another room. So this is another sort of constructed room as opposed to a part of the kelp forest. So it like goes for a little while. I guess before it gets there, it gets to an actual wall, which you might not have seen except for or because of all the kelp that's around. And it sinks it opens this little hatch, sticks its tentacle out, and sticks it into a little crevice in the wall and turns it, and the door goes and opens up, and inside is this little sort of bathysphere-like chamber with you can see it's got some windows outside of it, but they're mostly covered with seaweed. In fact, they're entirely covered with seaweed, so you can't see a heck of a lot. Only a little bit of light shines through, and it goes, and the door goes and closes up behind it. And yeah, there's just all sorts of crazy machinery and tools and whatnot. And it goes over to, there's like workbenches and things like that with all sorts of like really bizarre tools. Let me interrupt me, by the way, if you want to stop any of this from happening, but it lets its machine go like down to the ground and come into a resting position, and then it gestures over, and you can see that there are some soft mats of seaweed and other such things on the floor nearby, and it changes colors at you.
Cool.
I absolutely take a seat.
Yeah, let's have some tea.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just sort of starts going about its business. It's like going to start working on its mech.
Oh, wow. A cool
This
little
sounds like a
dude.
really good place for us to take some rests, people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
During that,
yeah.
if we're gonna keep going, or are we stopping there?
We can resolve your rests if you want, or we can keep going. Or sorry, we can resolve your rests, or we can do that next time, whatever you prefer.
Sure.
I would prefer to do that next time because I would like to take this rest to be the first rest where I start carving a new spell pearl.
Okay.
But I haven't decided which one yet, so that's going to take some time.
All right. So why don't we leave it there? You've a strange octopus in a mech has invited you to its house, and it seems content to not eat you for the moment. And we can, I guess, call it there. So, yeah, that concludes on a slight cliffhanger, maybe. A full session that you played one set of characters in a Rasp of Sand. So congratulations on that.
Woo!
And on making it to the 3rd level. And for those of you watching on YouTube, we will see you next time. Thanks for joining us.